Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to your news edition. These are the headlines. 3 Moroccan drug traffickers were eliminated and the 4th was arrested during the People's National Army operation in Ghanama in the province of Basha. An important quantity of processed kiff was also seized. The president of the association France-Algérie, Ségolène Royal, was received by the Minister of Justice and Peacekeeper, Lotfi Boudema. She called on for an Algerian-French dialogue based on mutual respect. The CAF announced sanctions against Morocco following the events that occurred during the African Cup of Nations, which reflects major malfunctions. Welcome back. As part of border operations and efforts to combat smuggling and organized crime, the Ministry of National Defense announced that following an ambush in the Ghanama area of Basha province in the 3rd Military Region, combined units of the People's National Army, border guards and Algerian customs eliminated 3 armed Moroccan drug traffickers on Wednesday night. The suspects had attempted to exploit diverse weather conditions affecting parts of the country to carry their criminal activities. Further details with Melissa de la Balaman.
As part of border security operations and the fight against smuggling and organized crime, and following an ambush in the Ghanama region of the Basha province in the 3rd Military Region, combined detachments of the Algerian People's National Army, border guards and customs eliminated 3 armed drug traffickers of Moroccan nationality this Wednesday, January 28, 2026. The individuals killed were identified as Adda Abdullah, Azza Mohammed, and Sarfaga Qandousi. A 4th drug trafficker, Azza Mimoun, also of Moroccan nationality, was arrested. The suspects attempted to take advantage of the weather conditions affecting certain regions of the country to carry out their criminal activities. During this same operation, 74 kilograms of processed cannabis, 1 hunting rifle, 1 pair of binoculars, 4 mobile phones, and other items were seized. This successful operation confirms once again the high level of vigilance of the People's National Army units with all its components, and sends a firm message to all those who attempt to violate the national territory or undermine its integrity and security. Following the successful operation carried out Wednesday, January 28, 2026, in the Ghanama region of the Basha province and the 3rd Military Region, detachments of People's National Army recovered an additional 447 kilograms of treated cannabis hidden in various locations within the area, thus confirming this criminal group's intention to flood our country with these drugs.
The Minister of Justice, Peacekeeper Lotfi Boudema, received on Thursday the President of the Association France-Algérie, Ségolène Royal.
Je suis très heureuse d'avoir rencontré Monsieur le ministre de la Justice qui m'a.
I'm very pleased to meet the Minister of Justice who welcomed me at his ministry. I asked for his permission to visit Christophe Glaise in prison. The minister granted his approval, and therefore I will be visiting Christophe Glaise tomorrow morning. Thank you, Minister.
Christophe Glaise demain matin dans son lieu d'incarcération. Merci beaucoup, Monsieur le ministre.
The president of the association, France-Algérie, Ségolène Royal, held the press conference during which he answered the questions of national and international media outlets. While answering the public television's question regarding the hatred campaign launched against her by some French media companies, Royal affirmed that some people in France are against any attempt to bring the 2 countries closer. We listen.
Et puis enfin, c'est la peur de la vérité et de ma liberté de parole.
There is fear of the truth, fear of freedom of expression, and fear of continuing to influence the political debate. But that does not matter, because I will tell you something. When we see violent reactions, we realize how difficult reconciliation truly is. Yet this gives every greater strength, because the reconciliation between France and Algeria, which must pass through acknowledging what happened, is in fact something easy for France. This is why they know, and what they do not want. They do not want this reconciliation nor this recognition.
Meteo Algérie announced a decrease in wind intensity, but the winds will remain strong, reaching 90 km per hour until Friday. There will also be sandstorms that will reduce visibility in the western and central highlands. An orange special weather report was also announced with the 50 mm rains. A rescue operation was launched by Relisance Civil Defense as a young man was rescued. Dear citizens, stay safe, stay vigilant, and avoid all danger areas. In France, the media space is increasingly shaped by far-right influence, a development that challenges the very foundations of press freedom and democratic debate. Basma Far with more details.
The growing dominance of the far right over France's media landscape is now an established fact. Media outlets, once presented as counterpowers, have gradually turned into instruments of influence. They shape public opinion, they normalize hateful and racist discourse.
The French media is controlled by 10 billionaires. 90% of newspapers in France are controlled by 10 billionaires, as well as 55% of digital platforms and audiovisual media.
At the heart of the system stands Vincent Bolloré. He embodies the concentration of media power in the hands of a small group of wealthy men. Far-right media outlets produce misleading and biased information designed to block any constructive and objective reflection. Voices of opposing extremism are marginalized, sometimes silenced. As a result, press freedom loses its credibility.
Vincent Bolloré owns several powerful media groups. Within this group, he has a pay TV channel, Canal+, a news channel that serves as a tool of influence, a radio station, a press group called Prisma, and potentially what remains in publishing, which they belongs to the Lagardère group. We have a massive media conglomerate operating completely outside the rules.
Qui agit totalement hors des clous. Le modèle économique de certaines chaînes d'information, c'est pas de
The business model of some news channels is not about producing the truth or creating information. It is about creating discord, controversy, what we call clashes or buzz.
la polémique, ce qu'on appelle des clashs ou du buzz.
Control over media, the stifling of pluralism, and the marginalization of independent journalists have become the key words promoted by the far-right media, all within a well-orchestrated political agenda.
Voices of anger and despair are emerging from Morocco as citizens denounce poverty, dispossession and state neglect, exposing a widening gap between official narratives and the lived reality of marginalized communities. Melissa de la Balaman.
You won the World Cup, yet you can't even give your people a dignified life. We are living through a catastrophe. Nothing sums up hardship in Morocco more starkly than this cry of despair from a broken child, crushed by a system built on contempt, showing the reality of a population abandoned to itself. Look, my wife, my 18-year-old daughter and my son are sleeping on the background in this cold. They destroyed everything. These images lay bare reality that official discourse works hard to hide. Mass rallies and choreographed celebrations are used above all to distract from the deep divide between the image on display and the lives people actually lead. By stripping Moroccans of their property, the Makhzen strikes at the very core of their dignity. Second-class citizens are hit head-on by unemployment and grinding poverty. It feels like we're colonized. No justice, no law, no security, nothing. They privatized hospitals, they closed schools, they sold us out, and now we're paying the price for their mismanagement. We're dying of hunger. The situation is unacceptable. In 2026, disaster-hit families are still living in makeshift shelters, exposed to the elements. While Morocco's image is carefully polished abroad, at home, marginalized communities continue to suffer, quietly and out of sight.
More than 10 days after Senegal's victory in the final of the African Cup of Nations, the CAF's disciplinary decisions are drawing criticism with questions over the consistency and fairness of the sanctions imposed. Basma Far with more details.
More than 10 days after Senegal's victory in the final, the Confederation of African Football has announced sanctions that have triggered widespread debate. Although the match was marked by incidents and sustained pressure on the Senegalese players from various sides, the harshest penalties were ultimately imposed on the champions. Senegal head coach Pape Thiaw received a 5-match suspension and a $100,000 fine, while the Senegalese Football Federation was fined $600,000. By contrast, Achraf Hakimi, captain of the Moroccan national team, and Paris Saint-Germain defender was handed a 2-match suspension, one of them suspended along with a $100,000 fine. Meanwhile, organizational shortcomings surrounding the tournament resulted in only limited sanctions, despite the responsibilities of the host federation. The disparity in these decisions has reignited criticism of the CAF, raising renewed questions about its consistency, fairness, and credibility.
And with this, we come to the end of our edition. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being with us. Have a good night.